Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings, to the WeAreChange news show, where in this segment we will try to tell you and expose how powerful forces are out there trying to create a global world war, which we're pretty much on the brink of, and also at the same time suppress your freedom of speech. Yeah, the lighthearted topics that we usually get into on this YouTube channel. So, as I wait here patiently twiddling my thumbs, waiting for our YouTube channel to be deleted, like so many others that are being deleted right now, like Sargon of Akkad, who appeared on this YouTube channel many times, just had his entire Google account disabled. A massive channel with hundreds of thousands of views that has just been utterly deleted like it was never there before. But even though this just happened today, a few moments ago, YouTube has actually released an official statement yesterday saying that a lot of these recent purges and deletion of channels and videos have been done in error and a mistake because of the new staff that they hired. But with this statement yesterday, it looks like they're still continuing on the same trajectory, since more videos are being deleted, and Sargon of Akkad didn't even have a strike against his channel. Now, was this a mistake? Will YouTube reinstate his channel? We'll see, and of course we're going to be following the story very closely, but it comes to no surprise to us, since even all the way back to 2007, we've been warning you on this YouTube channel, since Google acquired YouTube, that this day would eventually come, and we've been preparing for it by telling everyone to sign up on our email list by going to WeAreChange.org. And if you haven't done so, please consider doing that, because this could actually be the last time that we could be talking to each other. And if you think I ever provided a service throughout our almost now 15 years of work, if you found any value in it or were entertained in any way and want more of it and don't want us to fully be wiped away from history, go to WeAreChange.org and sign up on that email list, please. Most importantly, with this new recent YouTube purge, don't despair. Prepare and make sure you have a direct contact to your audience and not a middle person that will suppress that. Whatever happens to us, we'll always be fine and we'll always be here. It's impossible to stop all of us, and they can't, because we're never going to stop doing what we're doing. Plus, also, alternative platforms like DTube and Steemit have been incredible to us, which, by the way, all the links to the stories that we're going to be covering here will be in our Steemit post, which will be in the comment section of this video. Now, let's get into the actual issues that matter and that this channel is known for breaking down, and that is the just crazy and insane foreign policy and geopolitical news that's happening right now. Just a few days ago, we were warning you about how Turkey just invaded Syria to attack the Kurds, which just has sparked another conflict in the Middle East. Conflicts that have been brewing and escalating to grand proportions and are really just proxy wars between major world powers. The standoff that we are seeing here is a very major one. On one side, we have China, we have Russia, Syria, Iran, and Hezbollah. On the complete other side, we have the United States with NATO, along with Saudi Arabia and Israel on their side, and the two are butting heads more than ever, creating, of course, a very dangerous situation that looks like it will only escalate from here. And also, by the way, Turkey is the wild card in this big geopolitical circus. They actually have pissed off both the Russians and the United States with their latest move, but assuredly only make the situation more confusing than it already is. With the latest developments, we of course have the Iranians, Hezbollah, Syrian and Russian government trying to end their conflict inside of Syria with going after the last remaining rebel strongholds inside of that country. With doing that, they have escalated firepower, which of course has sparked concern from the international community, mainly from the European Union and the United Nations, which tried to impose a ceasefire that actively failed. But the bigger story behind all of this is that since the Cold War, American and Russian forces have actually engaged each other. This, of course, is not highlighted by the Western mainstream media, but it is one of the reasons why Putin is so outspoken right now against the United States. Putin, just moments ago, showed videos of Russian bombs bombing Florida. That's how severely the situation has escalated. And it started just about 2 weeks ago, where dozens of Russian mercenaries were killed because of U.S. airstrikes. Now, of course, the Kremlin is not confirming any of this, but there are many grieving families that show this story to be true. Now, allegedly, 20 to 30 Russian citizens were killed in this U.S. airstrike, and according to the United States, the Russian personnel came in contact with American troops that were stationed there, with the U.S. forces responding back with artillery and airstrikes on the Russians. Now, as we know, the Russians have been actively fighting alongside the Syrian government, and that there are thousands of U.S. soldiers stationed right now inside of Syria. Now, of course, this latest action does not seem deliberate, but it surely does escalate the situation in Syria to very dangerous proportions, which actually we've been saying on this YouTube channel for over a year now, since the two forces are on the ground on opposing sides. Something like this was inevitable. Now, what's important to understand here is that the United States with NATO has been and still is calling for intervention inside of Syria and North Korea. The Russians, of course, are not backing down, with Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, stating today that the United States has deployed 5 cruisers and 30 destroyers near its border to be part of a missile defense system, which Putin says is, quote, useless because of a new Russian hypersonic missile that can rip through U.S. air defenses. Standing on the world stage today, talking about his new unstoppable nukes that will be used if Russia is attacked or even if his allies are attacked. His allies are, of course, Syria and Iran. Iran, by the way, which has been making more aggressive moves against the US petrodollar just as of today. And ultimately, if you look at American foreign policy, a lot of it is based on countries that do not accept or go against the US petrodollar. And it's not just the United States that Iran has to worry about, since even neoconservative war hawk U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham is warning of Israel's saber-rattling and planned invasion to start a new war against the Iranian-linked fighters Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. And as you know, if you've been watching this YouTube channel, Israel is and has been actively preparing and calling for a conflict with Iran, openly pledging that Iran won't have a presence inside of Syria with their allies. And Israel said that they would do everything in their power to prevent an Iranian influence right on its border. But that's exactly what's happening with Iran, Russia, and the Syrian government being mainly successful against the rebel groups inside of their country. Again, what we're talking about here is extremely serious and needs to be heard and understood by everyone. Even 3 weeks ago, Lawrence Wilkerson, a former chief of staff to the United States, came out and actively said that, quote, I helped sell the false choice of war once, it's happening again. Openly warning the American people that the same thing that happened with George W. Bush and Iraq is happening right now with Donald Trump and Iran. Again, to remind you, a major Russian ally that Russia is saying it will defend with nuclear weapons. And it's not just Russia that we have to worry about. It's of course China, which is also aligned with the Syrian government, which of course is recently angered at the United States for new unilateral sanctions that have been put on North Korea, which they claim will threaten cooperation between all of the countries. China and Russia have also actively taken economic actions against the US petrodollar, and now the United States is doubling down on its tough policy against North Korea, with the United States preparing for aggressive high seas crackdown on North Korean sanction violators. And to be frank here, this is a direct move against China and Russia, which have been instrumental and very important to North Korea. This, of course, all spells out a recipe for total disaster, but I hope through this video I was actually able to explain to you what is happening from each side. Because obviously we are not hearing these stories from the Western mainstream media, and the main side that we are getting is that the United States needs to commit more military actions against the Syrian government because of their attacks on the last rebel-held town inside of their country. So I hope I made a very confusing geopolitical situation a little bit more simpler for everyone to understand. If you still have any questions about what exactly is happening, feel free to ask me in the comment section below. But ultimately, looking at all of this, it's not looking too good for all parties, for all sides, because people mainly don't want war, and then we have these idiots and egotistical plutocrats pushing for it, and only escalating situations for very dangerous proportions for greater geopolitical goals that really amount to nothing. Well, that's just my opinion. What do you think? Also, let me know in the comment section below. And now, in other news today, U.S. President Donald Trump advocated for, quote, taking guns first and due process later, leaving, of course, many right-wingers and Trump supporters stunned at his latest announcement, which pretty much goes along the globalist handbook that he has been following. In other news, it also came out today that Amazon, you know, that really big, bad, powerful company that is building AI and quantum computing, creating godlike powers for themselves while the government gives them everything that they want, and also has secret deals with the CIA and the Pentagon, by the way. Yeah, that company. We just found out that they made over $5.6 billion in profits last year and reportedly paid $0 American dollars in federal tax. Not a surprise there, but shows everyone how stupid the tax system is anyway. Also today, U.S. Senator Kristen Gillibrand came out on Twitter and said that it was Big Pharma that was keeping medical marijuana illegal because, quote, they want to continue to sell addictive drugs and dominate the market for drugs that address chronic pain. A huge admission by a U.S. senator who I haven't been a big fan of before. I'm not usually a fan of politicians at all, but you gotta give credit when credit's due, and that is a massive admission that people need to know about. So yeah, that is the news for today. We're still here, surviving. Luckily not deleted yet, just yet. So of course, another beautiful, amazing, wonderful day for all of us. If you appreciate what I do and want to support real independent media, don't forget to support us financially on wearechange.org/donate, because it's mainly been you guys that have been keeping this operation up and running. And because of that, I believe the human will is strong and persistent and will last no matter what. The truth, even though it may be slowed down sometimes, will eventually come out. And it's all going to happen with the energy and frequency of love. And that's why I love you guys. Thank you again so much for watching. Stay tuned for more, hopefully, if we're still around.